Welcome to Faith in 5, a weekly video devotional designed to discuss practical spiritual concepts in 5 minutes or less. I'm your host, Mark Vandella. So Faith in 5 had the opportunity to travel to New York this summer, and we had some great conversations about the future of Faith in 5, but also, thankfully, got to do some really touristy things. And like any good road trip, you've got your playlist, right? You're ready to go, you're listening to music, you're cruising. But as we headed into Manhattan, we realized we didn't have any songs that were specific to New York. So we did a quick search, looked up as many as we could, and listened to them as we finished our last leg of the trip. Some notable favorites were Alicia Keys and Jay-Z's Empire State of Mind, Frank Sinatra's New York, New York, and then a sleeper for me was U2's New York. See, it was a sleeper for me because it hit me. It was the last song we listened to as we went into the city, and there were a couple lyrics that stuck with me for our whole time there and then also when we came home. See, there's a section of the song where it says, Irish, Italians, Jews, and Hispanics, religious nuts and political fanatics, all in this stew. They're happily not like me and you. And that's where I lost you. See, that part, that last line, that's where I lost you, struck me as odd. I don't know if they intended it this way, but for me, it kind of was a challenge. It was like, yeah, all of these different people, so different from one another and maybe different from me and you, but they're happily not like me and you. And that's where I was challenged. We typically check out anytime we're engaging with people who are not like us. So while we were there, it felt like time stood still, right? You're just in go mode, you're walking, you're talking, you're doing your thing. But upon returning home, it felt like everything got flipped into chaos. We started hearing on the news reports that a few young black men were killed by police. And then the next day, some police were killed by snipers. And then we started to have lots of conversations about our political candidates, and we started to have their conventions, and the last couple of weeks have just been crazy. It felt like we were on the edge of civil war, and yet we also have this political place that not many people are terribly happy about. And it left me, and I think it left a number of us feeling like, what can we possibly do? And so I started trying to challenge myself. What can I do? What's my role? How can I play this? And I stumbled upon Luke 6:31 through 36. It's simple. It's the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto yourselves. Another version says, ask yourself what you want others to do for you, and then take the initiative and do it for them. See, it goes on to say that don't just love the lovable. Any run-of-the-mill person can do that. Or if you help with expectations to get something back, do you really expect to get a medal for that? It goes on to talk about a few other things that's the easy part. It says, no, that's not what we're being asked to do. Love your enemies. I promise you will not regret it. See, God created us to live this way. It says God created us, the way God lives and the way God wants us to live is that we live graciously and generously even when we are at our worst. And so when we are forced by media, social media, all these things into these small portions of who we are, when we're kind of squashed down to one little piece, black, white, cop, not cop, conservative, liberal, all these things, when we are just put into those places, we aren't seeing the whole picture. And when you're forced into that, I encourage you to not see this for the worst, but instead live generously, live graciously. See, I don't know how to fix the whole world. I don't know how to change it and flip it upside down in one day, but I do know the best I can do is that if each of us, individuals, decide that in our normal lives, in our close relationships, the people we interact with, if we live out Luke 6, if more of us live that way, live graciously, even when we're at our worst, I think that in our individual relationships, it will start to get better. And then our communities will start to get better, and hopefully that will extend to the world. So this week, as you interact with others along these topics and you feel like the world is going crazy, maybe even hell in a handbasket, right? The first thing I want to ask you to do is just stop, pray, pause, and take time to pray for that individual or pray for the situation. If nothing else, it'll help shape your heart and change your perspective in the situation. And the second thing I would ask you to do is don't give up. Hang in long enough. We need more of us. We need more people who are following Christ to stay in, ask for understanding, have conversations, to weather the storm, live graciously, live generously, even when we're at our worst. And maybe the world will begin to change. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to follow us each week, click here to subscribe. And if you want to take it a little bit further, click here for discussion materials.